just coming off House of the Devil, I didn't want to make anything necessarily like that, but at a similar budget range, you can only do so much different. And I wanted to make something that had a lot of humor in it, and that segued into a very traditional, old-fashioned ghost story in a very old-fashioned hotel. But I liked the modern aspect of it being like these nerds in a building that's from the 1800s and then bad 70s renovation, and these kind of like modern-day nerds with part-time jobs that they don't really totally care about. And I liked those people being in a very traditional, like old-fashioned ghost story because it doesn't make sense, and seeing how that would play out. And I thought that would create a really good dynamic and make the contrast between the horror and the sort of like hanging out as broad as possible, to when the horror came in, it was really unsettling, because I really wanted to make a charming movie, and I wanted to charm everyone into this movie, so that way when it starts getting scary, you're actually really uncomfortable by it, because these characters don't belong in this movie, and so when it starts to turn into the horror movie, both the audience and the characters are in over their head, and that's what I was really trying to accomplish. Well, I think especially horror audiences have become so hip and postmodern to like techniques of filmmaking, and specifically genre movies, that they're generally, they almost want to be a step ahead of the filmmaker, which I don't understand, because it kind of makes the movie less interesting, but that's, for some reason, the audiences, they're just really attuned to like all the tricks of, opening the mirror, close the mirror, and it's behind you, or all the gags. So what I tried to do is set up a lot of familiar, horror tropes, but do something different with them, to where the people are like, oh, I know what's going to happen, he's going to do this and do this, and then that doesn't happen. And then you get to another situation, oh, you know what's going to happen, he's going to go in there, it's going to pop out, but I do something a little bit different. To the point where enough of the times that happens, and it was the same thing with House of the Devil, like, you mess with people's, it's not their expectations, it's like their assumptions. You mess with those as much as you can, to the point where they now go, I don't know what's going to happen anymore. And then you go back to actually it being tense and being like it was before you were hip and postmodern. And that's what I try to accomplish with, like, some of they're not even jump scares, they're like jump jokes, which is like, it's not really a elbow in the ribs or a wink at the audience, but it's a little bit of a like, I'm ahead of you on this one, so just stop trying to think you know what's going on and just watch the movie. That's generally my approach to it. It was the same with House of the Devil, was like when she's walking around the house and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be this, it's like, I'm ahead of you. It's only one step, but I'm just enough that, you need to just watch the movie and stop trying to figure out what's going to happen. Because, and I do the same thing, it's like as a filmmaker especially, and plus movies have become such lowest common denominator that they're all the same. So like, oh, she opens the thing and the ironing board falls out. It's like all those gags, and they keep using them in movies. So I was adamant about using variations of those, but skewing them a little bit.